to begin with a quote from Nelson Mandela. "There is no passion to be found settling for a life that is less than the one that you are capable of living." Think about that for a moment. There's no passion in that when one knows that they are not living up to the quality of life that you're very capable of doing. I'm struck very much by that quote from Mandela, especially on this Arm in Arm in Africa Sunday. It is my most horrifically nerve-wracking weekend of the year, far surpassing any of the major holidays, simply because of the vulnerability that's involved in it, and where, as you all know, not only myself, but for many, where our hearts are with our brothers and sisters in South Africa. That vulnerability can be a good thing. It doesn't have to be nerve-wracking. So today we look back over 21 years of what can happen when a group of ordinary citizens, a group and a parish, decide to commit to justice. I want to give you just a brief overview for those of you who are unfamiliar with the mission of Arm in Arm in Africa. I begin by saying, everybody, oh, we have new guests. Everybody deserves the right to eat. Part of our mission is food distribution. We provide 1,700 parcels of food every year. We're challenged, particularly with the pandemic, in that there is a 42% increase in the cost of purchasing the food in South Africa, which again helps their economy. COVID-19 restrictions have also made the distributions much more challenging, including increased security needs. 2 of our board members who live in South Africa and other people who volunteer in the food distributions literally, in certain locations, put their lives at risk by making sure that the food is distributed. That's an important part of our work. A large portion of our budget is food. The very idea of ever having to cut back makes me nervous because I always remember 𝘨𝘁𝘊𝘆𝑄𝑃𝑖𝑙𝑖, one of our board members who lives there, talks about what it is for the nights after a food distribution, when frequently children are put to bed early to take their mind off of being hungry. When there's a food distribution, the lights are on, you hear laughter, and you hear joy throughout the village. The second leg of our ministry is healthcare. And again, I say everyone deserves to be cared for emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Arm in Arm in Africa partners with organizations in South Africa for mental health, hospice, residential programs, particularly for the forgotten and left on the margins, and also for young girls. And I'll talk a bit more about this, our Days for Girls program. The third leg of our program has to do with education. And again, everyone deserves to learn and become all that they aspire to be. Our focus there is with preschool, early childhood education, teen mentoring, and teacher development. Just a brief update for those particularly who have been a part of the delegations, and many of you who know about the village of 𝘨𝘠𝘕𝑙𝑒, way up in the Transkei, an area where people have more or less had a history of just making sure that they're surviving, just getting food. Their education program, their early childhood education, they have a committee within the village, taking great pride in furthering the educational opportunities. That group hosted a gathering for the entire region. They had 100, I think 99 to be honest, were there for that education gathering, where they came together as parents, as teachers, as volunteers, to again encourage one another around the goal of education. So today, I want to focus specifically on our educational initiatives. Again, a reminder, the apartheid government was a system of segregation built solely on the grounds of race. The apartheid system of education, also known as gutter or inferior education, was passed into law through the 1953 Bantu Education Act. It made it illegal for a black person to have more than a fourth grade education. Imagine in your own family situation. Go back to the early 50s in your family tree and try to imagine from that point forward no one being able to have more than a fourth grade education. It was illegal. Imagine where we would be today. Our grandparents, our parents, where we would be, where your children would be, just with the long-term effect of such a disastrous law. After years of violent protests, the apartheid system began to collapse in the early 1990s, culminating with the formation of a democratic South African government in 1994, when Nelson Mandela became the first non-white elected head of state. In our scripture reading today that Pat shared with us, I want to go back to the one from the prophet Daniel. It ended with these words, "But the wise shall shine brightly like the splendor of the firmament, and those who lead the many to justice, will be like stars forever." It is my honor and my pleasure today, vis-a-vis a video, to introduce to you two of the youngest, the brightest stars to emerge in the world community. Lisa, she likes to go by, is 16 years old and in grade 11. She lives with her mom and her brother in a township just outside of Cape Town. She struggled, like many, around her subjects. She would cry when she thought about the struggle she had with math, certain things that were always a challenge for her. 𝘱𝘬𝘊𝘬 is a young man, 15 years old and in grade 10. He's the youngest in the family and he's at home with mom and dad. Both of these students, whom we're going to be hearing from shortly, got word of, and I mean by chance, got word of the FLY program, which is Fun Learning for Youth. They had their struggles by word of mouth. They learned about this program that was calling young people to come for tutoring on Saturdays at 𝘗𝘳𝘊 Sewanee Church in 𝘗𝘬𝘢. By luck, by God's guidance, they found themselves there. The FLY program is run by and operated by young professional adults in South Africa, black, who grew up in the townships, were successful, a small minority, decided to come back and give back to the communities in which they lived and grew up by starting the FLY program. It's an amazing program, and you'll hear, again, from these two incredible stars, what the FLY program means. I want to prep you a little bit. We're kind of a folksy group at Arm & Arm. We don't have the most highest quality of all videos, but you know, it's going to work. But to ensure there's going to be subtitles, if you can't understand it. They're young, soft-spoken. What I didn't plan on was these talks were given outside. So I think every bird in the Cape Town area decided to show up and listen to these two stars, because you're going to hear birds in the background. So without further ado, let's run the video and meet, again, these two incredible stars.
Greetings everyone, my name is 𝘨𝘠𝘭𝘪𝘯𝘨. I'm 17 years old, currently in grade 11, and I attend Livingston High School, and I'm part of 𝘨𝘬 since grade 8. In grade 8, I won also the Top Student Award, and in grade 9, I won the Merit Award, and that has really helped me. It has made a huge impact in my life because I've improved in my marks, not only marks, but personally, because of the life skills, everything that 𝘨𝘬 has. And it's an honor for me to be here, and a privilege because not many people have this opportunity. It boosts my self-esteem, my confidence, because I can approach people and tell them about this program. My marks, I can help other students also. I have a different approach in my work. I've improved much better, and I'm improving day by day, and that's a great thing for me. The tutors are the best. I can tell that they are the best. They're very talkative and all that, so we can engage in class. I can also help the other students because they don't have the facilities and all that stuff. So I'm privileged to be here to help the other students because of the help I receive from the tutors. The tutors, they are well educated and respected everything they can, and they don't get paid for this. So we have to honor and appreciate them for giving up their Saturdays to help us, the kids. Every day they encourage me, especially my mother. She wakes me up, gets me ready for this because she knows that's the best thing for me. Finishing school, I want to go to University of Cape Town or Oxford. I want to become a real estate agent or factual scientist. That's my dream.
I'm 16 years old and I attend 𝘨𝘬. I also go to Oakland High School. I've been attending 𝘨𝘬 since grade 8 and I've attended in grade 9 and this year grade 10. The most memorable aspect of me was winning the Top Student Award for Maths in grade 8, and that made me very proud because I had been struggling with work, especially Maths, since like grade 6 or grade 5. And in grade 8, I actually, when I entered 𝘨𝘬 and started coming to classes, I actually started getting code 7s and 6s. And when I won the Top Student Award, it was really motivating for me because it showed me that I was working hard, and that 𝘨𝘬 tutors showed me that they were always there for me. 𝘨𝘬 is an institution that helps kids not just tutor math or science, it actually helps achieve academic excellence, and it's much more safe. You feel in a safe space, and it's not only about academics. That's what I love about them. It's also about personal life. They're here for you. They always ensure you that whenever you're going through something, whether it's at home or school, you can talk to them. 𝘨𝘬 has made a difference in my life by I've improved with my work ethic. I'm able to speak to the tutors whenever something is bothering me, even if it's personally, because I do know some tutors. And I think that the most thing about 𝘨𝘬 is that the people that tutor us are highly educated. Therefore, when someone comes in front and your tutor tells you what they do for a living, it's easier to seek for career guidance, and it's much more motivating when you see that person is an entrepreneur, chartered accountant each and every single day. Then you get motivated that I also can do it if he or she can do it. My mom is very proud, and my mom each and every time I tell her how well I'm doing at 𝘨𝘬, or she gets really excited because she knows what great opportunity it is for me. And because I was struggling in primary school, now I feel my mom and I both feel as though my future is much more secure with 𝘨𝘬. It's only if I contribute to working hard. Right now, I'm more into forensic anthropology and forensic pathology, and I also want to study development studies. I'd like to study them at the University of Cape Town or Oxford University. I see myself making an impact in the world as showing people that it's possible no matter where you come from. And I did mention I also want to study development studies so I can one day hopefully start my own organization or foundation that will help around Africa and donate. I want to be basically a philanthropist.
She wants to be a philanthropist. I love it. Lisa wants you to know this, in these words that are special to her. The universe will not give you what you want, but will reflect to you who you are. Work hard, dream, and remember that what you have now, you once prayed for. The 𝘨𝘂 also wants you to know of his gratitude both for 𝘨 as well as Arm in Africa. In his very own words, he says, I am super grateful. I am super grateful. They're very aware in South Africa that they are joining us vis-a-vis the video today. I'm asking you, as you have for the 21 years that we have been in existence, to do some heavy lifting for us in terms of our financial responsibilities. As I mentioned, it's a nerve-wracking time. The pandemic, changes in just how we worship, so many things around us, such a level of uncertainty. Created for me this year, I would have to say, probably more nervousness than I've had in the 21 years. Paula Larson, a member of my board who attends the 11, called the other day to extend her prayers and good thoughts, asked how I was doing. I said, oh, I'm nervous. She goes, oh, you always are. You always are. I got a text this morning from a good friend, member of our parish and a donor, who I'm glad to say it's just not me who apparently has thoughts about this during the middle of the night. Ron texted this morning early that he'd had a dream about me, and that in order for me to make my point, apparently I must have been in the church giving this talk in his dream, he said you crawled up the wall and jumped out of one of the stations of the cross. That was his dream about me trying to make my point. Well, I'm not going to crawl up the wall, and we have no stations of the cross. Julie Madden came up to me this week to wish us well on this weekend. And in talking to Julie, I actually was able to understand it's not so much nervousness. I'm homesick. I'm homesick for Africa. And with that comes, as you know, a whole intensity in emotion. We weren't able to go last year, and we won't be able to go this year. We have pictures on poster boards and on screens. It's wonderful. It's not what it can be, and it's not what it's been for 21 years. So today, and I think for anyone I can speak who's been with us on the delegations, we all have a bit of homesickness in regards to South Africa. But I would expand that same feeling to all of us at this time in our nation, in our world, and in our church. We're all a little homesick for different, better, more predictable, and kinder times. So we do what we can do. I'm asking us to do that once again, but perhaps with a little more intensity. A recent survey of 300 nonprofits, 20% of them indicated that they were fearful of not being able to meet their goals in the next 6 months. We've been fortunate. We had a little bit of a heads up in our summer fundraiser when we were not able to meet our goal. So we're coming into this fall fundraiser aware that we need to work harder. We did not and we will not cut back on services. We'll figure out a way to do it. That the food is still there, the health care is still there, and the education is still there. I'm asking you today, and I'm asking you in the next month and a half, as you think about your charitable giving, to strongly consider increasing your donation. If you've never donated, please consider being a part of this. For the sake of transparency, I'm going to share you what our goal is. Between now and the end of the year is $140,000 for us to meet our budget. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But I'm asking us to consider that. I'm asking us to pray about that. I'm asking us to look at ways that we can, again, do the heavy lifting together for us to be able to meet that goal. We're in this for the long run. This started when I was 50 years old. I'm now 71. I've stood up here at least 21 times to ask you to be a part of this. I feel fairly certain at 71 that I'm going to be here a long time. If I just honor the requests alone that I get frequently that tells me you cannot die until you do my funeral. You simply cannot leave the planet till you have been here to provide my funeral. My best guess is I should be here till about 105 to be able to honor those requests. I saw this week on the news that can happen. There was a woman, 105, just finished a foot race. A foot race? And was asked if she'd be back at 106. And she said, I guess I'll have to see how I feel on that morning. So I guess I'll have to see how I feel on that morning of my 105th. Please help us. Please help us. And thank you for all the support that you've given from the bottom of my heart.